Welcome, everyone, to our deep dive today.
Yeah.
We're going on a digital expedition, I guess you could say,
That's a good way to put it.
exploring the online presence of Philippe Waterloos.
Right. And we're going to kind of use three different methods here.
Yeah, so we're going to be looking at information coming from Google Search,
Mm-hmm.
also ChatGPT,
Yep.
and Perplexity,
That's right.
kind of like using three different lenses to
Exactly.
examine the same person.
And it's really fascinating to see how each of these tools reveals kind of unique aspects and details.
So our goal today is to help you understand which source
Yeah.
might be most helpful for different needs and how they even complement each other.
Absolutely.
So imagine like you're about to meet Philippe for the first time.
Yeah.
Where would you even begin to get a sense of who he is?
Well, I think a lot of people would probably start with Google search.
Absolutely.
It's just, it's often our first stop when we want to find information.
What did Google kind of tell us about Philippe?
Well, Google really seemed to highlight the visual side of him.
Mm-hmm.
We saw tons of images right away, links to his photography work
Oh, wow.
on platforms like Adobe Stock,
Oh,
Fotolia.
yeah.
These are really popular websites for stock photos.
So it's kind of saying, hey, this guy's a photographer.
Exactly. It's
Wow.
like Google's first impression is this is a visual person.
Yeah, and it pulled up his personal website,
Oh, yeah.
lenomad.com,
That's interesting.
which sounds very intriguing,
Yeah.
hinting at maybe travel or adventure.
Almost like a travel blogger or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
wonder what we'll find there.
And also, interestingly, Google highlighted his membership
Right.
in the Club des Ambassadeurs d'Alsace.
Yeah, what is that all about?
So it's suggesting a connection to that region.
Yeah, Alsace.
Yeah.
So maybe he was born there, or maybe it's a place that's really,
Mm-hmm.
significant to him
Yeah.
for whatever reason.
So Google gave us a really strong visual impression.
Absolutely.
But did it tell us much about his professional life?
Not really.
Yeah.
We got that glimpse of his artistic side, but Google didn't really delve too deep
Into a career?
into his career path or his, professional background.
Which makes me even more curious to see what ChatGPT uncovered.
Right. And with ChatGPT, we kind of shift gears
Yeah.
from the visual to the professional.
Okay.
It seemed to be all about Philippe's expertise in the tech world.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Like, what did it highlight specifically?
Well, it emphasized his skills in IT,
Uh-huh.
UX design,
Yeah.
digital project management.
Interesting.
So very much in the digital realm.
Yeah, did he even mention specific roles?
Oh,
Like
yeah.
digital director
Mm-hmm.
and digital services coordinator.
Yeah, so it kind of fleshes out
Yeah.
his professional journey a little bit more.
And it's interesting because ChatGPT placed him in Paris,
Right?
which could mean that's his current professional base. It's almost like it looked at his LinkedIn profile and was like, okay,
Yeah.
here's the professional Philippe.
Right.
So we have the artistic Philippe from Google,
Uh-huh.
and then we have the corporate Philippe from ChatGPT.
Yeah, two very different
Two very different perspectives.
lenses.
So what about Perplexity?
Now, Perplexity is where things get really fascinating.
Okay.
It's this really cool research-focused tool,
Uh-huh.
and it provided this remarkably well-rounded view
Right.
of Philippe's life and career.
Wow.
Yeah, it pulled together all these different threads,
Oh, okay.
from photography to tech, even entrepreneurship.
So it really went beyond just one aspect.
Absolutely. It even mentioned his love for skiing and travel.
Wow.
So we got a little glimpse into his personal interests, too.
Yeah, and I think that's a really great point because each of these search tools
Mm-hmm.
is providing us with a different piece of the puzzle,
Yeah,
but none of them have like the complete picture.
that's so true. And that's why it's so important
Yeah,
to use multiple sources
Yeah.
when you're trying to understand someone's online presence.
absolutely.
Each tool has its own strengths and limitations.
It's like having different lenses with their
Yeah.
own focus and clarity.
Exactly.
And it makes you think like, how might these results change over time
Right.
as his, career and interests evolve?
Absolutely. The digital landscape is always changing.
Yeah.
People's online presence shifts along with it.
Yeah,
What we see today might be totally different tomorrow.
exactly. And it makes me wonder, what other tools or strategies could we use to get an even more comprehensive view
That's a great question.
of someone's online presence?
Yeah.
We'll leave you with that thought for now, and we'll be back in just a moment to dive even deeper
Sounds good.
into the world of Philippe Waterloos.
All right. It's like we're gathering all these little pieces of information,
Right.
But we need to understand the context, too.
Yeah, and I remember Perplexity mentioned his Shopify store
Oh, right.
called Best by Price.
Best Buy price. Yeah.
That's interesting.
So is this a current venture for him? Or
Yes.
maybe something he explored in the past?
Right.
It'd be interesting to kind of dig a little deeper there.
Yeah, we could look for, social media mentions, maybe see if Philippe has talked about it on his website.
Yeah.
It's like we're piecing together this puzzle,
Yeah.
and the pieces are scattered all over the internet.
Speaking of puzzles, we did notice some interesting discrepancies
Oh, yeah.
in the information. Like, for instance, ChatGPT highlighted Philippe's expertise in functional analysis
Right.
and ergonomics.
Areas that relate to, user experience and design,
Mm-hmm.
which Google didn't really touch on.
Right. It focused more on the visual content.
Mm-hmm.
So do these discrepancies maybe reflect different stages in his career
Right.
or a shift in focus over time?
It's possible.
Hmm?
Maybe he started out as a photographer
Yeah.
and then transitioned into UX design.
Bringing those visual skills into the tech world.
Or maybe he's always been interested in both
Yeah.
and pursuing them kind of in parallel.
Exactly. It's a good reminder that, online presence can be fragmented and multifaceted. We might see glimpses of different parts of their life,
Yeah.
but the internet doesn't always tell a complete story.
Right. And it's not always linear.
No, not at all.
And that's why it's important to approach this information with a critical eye.
Absolutely.
Think about the source,
The potential biases.
the gaps in the information.
Yeah, it's like reading a novel.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting the author's perspective,
Right.
but there's always more to the story than what's on the page.
So if we try to kind of summarize what we've learned about Philippe so far,
Yeah.
what are the key takeaways?
Well, it seems like he's a multi-talented individual with experience in photography,
Yeah.
UX design,
Mm-hmm.
and digital project management.
So we know he's got connections to Montreal
Right.
and Paris, which could suggest a career path
Yeah, spanning multiple locations.
that spans multiple locations, or maybe just, his networks,
Or just reflecting his networks, right?
professional and personal.
Exactly.
And we can't forget that entrepreneurial side
Right.
with his website, lenomade.com,
Mm-hmm.
and his Shopify store.
It's fascinating how each search tool emphasizes different aspects.
Yeah.
Almost like different chapters in a biography.
Makes you wonder how our own online presence might be perceived.
That's a good question.
Right.
Are we presenting a cohesive and accurate picture?
Yeah.
Are there gaps and discrepancies that we might not even be aware of?
That's a really great question to consider.
Yeah,
It speaks to the importance of being mindful of our digital footprint
absolutely.
because we're all leaving these traces online.
Whether we intend to or not.
It's like we're all creating these digital mosaics
Yeah.
with each piece representing a different part of who we are,
And the cool thing is those mosaics are constantly evolving.
just like us.
This has been a really insightful dive so far.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But before we wrap up, I'm curious to explore one more aspect of Philippe's online presence.
Okay, what's that?
Well, we've seen hints of his personal interests,
Mm-hmm.
but I'd love to see how those intersect with his professional life.
Yeah, it's really interesting how those personal interests kind of weave their way into a professional life online.
Well, we know Perplexity mentioned his love for skiing and travel,
Right.
which makes sense because a lot of his photography features landscapes
Yeah.
and outdoor scenes, and even his photography website, lenomade.com,
Right.
really evokes that sense of wanderlust and adventure.
It's like those interests really inform his work.
Mm-hmm.
And then his work allows him to, pursue those interests even more.
Yeah, it's like this really cool cycle.
It is.
And it makes you think about the role of personal branding
Yeah,
in the digital age.
absolutely.
Like his online presence isn't just showcasing his skills and experience.
Right.
It's also about sharing his passions.
Connecting with others who share those interests.
Yeah, and finding those communities that resonate with who he is.
Yeah. It's like the internet has become this space to not just present our professional selves,
Mm-hmm.
but to really celebrate like our individuality.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
find those people who get us.
It really makes you think about how much of our true selves we're willing to share online.
Mm-hmm.
Like, is there a line between personal and professional?
Right? Are those lines blurring in the digital world?
That's a really thought-provoking question.
It is.
Because it seems like the more we share online,
Yeah,
the more complex our digital identities become.
absolutely. And the harder it is to really grasp someone's story just based on what we see online.
Which kind of brings us back to that question of how can we get a truly comprehensive
Right.
view of someone's online presence?
I think the key is to approach it all with curiosity, but also with a healthy dose of skepticism. Be open to, discovering those different facets.
Right.
But also be aware that the online world is curated.
It's like reading a novel.
Yeah.
We're getting the author's perspective.
Right.
But there's always more to the story than what's on the page.
Exactly.
I guess in a way, we're all authors of
Yeah.
our own digital narratives.
That's a great way to put it.
It's up to us to decide how much we want to reveal, how we want to be perceived, and what story we want to tell the world.
Well said.
So I think we've reached the end of our deep dive
Yeah.
into the online world of Philippe Waterloos.
This has been fascinating.
It's been so enlightening. We've explored the power of all these different search tools, the complexities of online identity, the interplay between personal and professional.
It really makes things.
In the digital age, and I hope everyone listening has gained a new appreciation.
Me too.
For how multifaceted online presence can be.
Yeah.
And the importance of really thinking critically.
Absolutely.
When we're navigating the digital landscape.
Could not agree more.
And remember, there's always more to discover.
More
to explore.
More to learn.
So keep diving, keep questioning.
Yeah.
And keep expanding your understanding of this digital world.
Until next time.